Remember when the media during the campaign let Joe Biden continue to get away with giving a non-answer regarding court packing?
Mr. Vice President, if Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
Are you going to pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know you're a senator. I'm not going to answer the question.
Why wouldn't you answer that question?
It's a legitimate question, but let me tell you, I'm not going to answer that question because it will shift all the focus. That's what he wants. He never wants to talk about the issue at hand. He always tries to change the subject. But let's say I answered that question. Then the whole debate's going to be, well, Biden said or didn't say. Biden said he would or wouldn't.
Sir, I've got to ask you about packing the courts. And I know that you said yesterday you aren't going to answer the question until after the election. But this is the number one thing that I've been asked about from viewers in the past couple of days.
Well, you've been asked by the viewers who are probably Republicans who don't want me continuing to talk about what they're doing to the court right now.
Well, sir, don't the voters deserve to know where you stand?
No, they don't. I'm not going to play his game.
Well, the day of infamy has arrived. Congressional Democrats, including Jerry the Nads Nadler, the walking fire hydrant, introducing into the House and Senate on Friday will be a bill that expands the United States Supreme Court from 9 justices to 13. Now, why would they possibly want to do that? It's really very simple. They can't get their legislative agenda through unless it's done via the courts. And here's what I mean by that. I know I sound like a broken record when I say when Democrats are in power, they take power. But they do. I mean, right now, you think about it. They control the White House. They control the Senate. They control the House. Yet that's not good enough because they know, number one, they hold a razor-thin majority. They know they are going to get creamed in the midterm elections. And they know that inherently they have really bad ideas. You look at every place where the Democrat way of doing things is done, i.e., large metropolitan cities, and what do you see? You see nothing but homelessness, chaos, crisis. The upper echelon, the uber wealthy of New York City, Los Angeles, they do well. The middle class gets crushed, and forgive me for saying it this way, the freeloaders get a free ride. This is what Democrats apparently are hell-bent on doing to the United States as a whole. And they know that when people begin to wake up and realize how bad their ideas are, you know what they do? They tend to change the way they vote. Have you taken a look at some of the political trends happening around the country right now? Places that at one time were just hotbeds of euphoric liberalism. We are now seeing the people there, in particular the business owners and the middle class people there, becoming GOP supporters, conservative. You know, you get your business burned to the ground, all in the name of justice. You tend to start rethinking what you were thinking before that. And that's what's happening in places like Minnesota, Seattle, etc., etc., etc. And I'm telling you, this recall in California, I still think there should be an investigation done. I think Trump won California. I know I am in the vast minority of that, and though there's nothing that can be done to change anything with the election now. I think it would be an interesting case study to find out what really happened in California. When you had spontaneous Trump rallies breaking out in places like Beverly Hills, are you kidding me? 5,000 Trump supporters just take off marching down the streets. Yeah, in a place like liberal California, yeah. And the longer they have been under the crushing, freedom-restricting regime of Gavin Newsom, yeah. That said, bottom line here, they know that their ideas are so off the charts bad that in the next election they will be overturned, overdone, reorganized, rewritten, abolished, etc., etc., etc. So what they want to do is they want to pack the courts so that they can make sure that through the court system, the ideas that they can't do legislatively, the things that Biden wants to do by executive order can remain and stay permanent, and they need a friendly Supreme Court to make that happen. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, during the Great Depression, didn't feel like he was getting enough of his agenda through, and he wanted to pack the court. And at one time, Joe Biden thought that was a really bad idea.
President Roosevelt clearly had the right to send to the United States Senate and the United States Congress a proposal to pack the court. It was totally within his right to do that. He violated no law. He was legalistically absolutely correct, but it was a bonehead idea.
Ah, how times have changed. Well, President Bonehead, now that your party is moving forward to make this happen, I do seem to recall that during the vice presidential debate, it was Mike Pence who brought this up to Camel Toe Kamala thinks she's a hottie Harris. And of course, in her condescending way and with her little cackle, she thought she would turn that into an opportunity to give us all a history lesson. It's too bad she doesn't really know history.
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay. In 1864, one of the, I think, political heroes, certainly of the president, I assume if you also, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Mm-hmm. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election. And it was 27 days before the election. And a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States. And then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body.
That is an absolute epic fail. I taught American history in the classroom for over 20 years, and I can tell you if she had put that on as an answer to a test, she would have failed immediately. Yes, it is true that President Lincoln waited, but he waited for two reasons. Number one, he waited because the Senate was not in session at that time. Senators who were up for re-election were out campaigning. So there was no Senate to confirm a Supreme Court nominee. That's number one. Number two, Mr. Lincoln had it narrowed down to two candidates, prospective justices to serve on the Supreme Court. So you know what he did during the downtime while he was waiting to do the right thing for the next administration to make that decision? You know, Kamala. The two justices that he was considering for the post, they had to go out and prove their loyalty to him by campaigning for his re-election. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Can you imagine if President Trump had Amy Coney Barrett out there campaigning for him during the election cycle? Can you hear the hue and cry from the mainstream media? Can you hear the Democrats, the never-Trumpers? Can you hear it? So now what we have is a dementia-ridden president whose strings are being pulled, in my opinion, by members of the Obama regime and probably Barack Obama himself. And they understand how absolutely unconstitutional many of the things that they want to do, from their gun grab to their totalitarian rule and regime over this country. Can you imagine if he gets the courts packed? Let's take one issue. If he gets the courts packed, can you imagine what will happen with these mandates we've been living under for the past year plus? Can I tell you that he would have a Supreme Court that would ensure they never go away? But hey, when he was asked this on the campaign trail, he kept getting away with saying, I'm not going to give an answer to that because that's what my opponent wants to talk about. And the media let him slide. And now look where we are. Another radical step in transforming America in the wrong direction. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel, smack the bell, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you click the word all to get notification of all of my rants.